Welcome back to Rogers Report. I'm your host with the most. You guys can call me Rogers, and today we're going to have a little bog-off special, a little 2-for-1 deal for you, like you're in the middle aisle of Lidl or Aldi, because we're going to be looking at two wonder kids that Aston Villa have recently been linked with this summer transfer window. Now, this is quite in keeping with our current recruitment process of effectively trying to target young talent that, one, aren't on a lot of money, and we're talking weekly wages. Two, that we can get at a bit of a cut price deal perhaps than the world's elite players. And three, players that Emery can hopefully develop into absolute world beaters, or at the very minimum, we can sell them in a couple of years for a lot of profit. Obviously, in and around all of our ESR sanctions that have just been imposed on the club, i.e. we have to have a positive balance sheet over the next 3 years to register players to play in Europe. These two transfer links make complete sense. Now, the first one, Camvot, I believe is how you pronounce his name, is a young 18-year-old centre-back from Toulouse, I think it is, in France. Just broke through, just turned 18 years of age. This kid is very exciting. And the other one is actually a player that we have been linked with for a very, very long time. And I think this is probably about the second season in a row we have been linked with him under Emery and Monchi, and that is Kilicsoy from over in the Turkish Super League. Been compared to Sergio Aguero, only 19 years of age. So we're going to be looking at both of these players today, watching a video on them, looking through their stats, comparing them in a couple of competitions to see roughly per 90 how they're performing against their peers and whether they would be good signings for Aston Villa. So if you are enjoying the content, leave a like, subscribe down below if notifications on. If you guys could do that, it helps me and the channel out absolutely massively. And also, comment down below, would you take none of these wonder kids, one of them, or should we just go and grab both? Let's start off with looking at Camvot and how he has played in his breakthrough season in Ligue 1. Here he is, like I say, plays for Toulouse over in France, plays as a centre-back but can also play as a defensive midfielder. And when we look at his FB ref stats, where we're going to be comparing him versus other players in Ligue 1 over the past 365 days, you will see why he does have that DM capability in him. He played 1,000 minutes for Toulouse in Ligue 1 this season, 18 games, 12 starts with an average match rating of 6.67. You can see there a France under-19 international and 20 total appearances for Toulouse since joining their first team in July of 2024. This season in Ligue 1, we're looking at his total stats here because FB Ref will show us his per 90s. You'll see, attacking wise, 1 shot on target, 5 shots. I'm not too bothered. He's a centre-back, right? The pass accuracy, slightly worrying, 86.7%. Yet Pau Torres was floating around 88% this season, but obviously completed a lot more passes. Long ball accuracy of 45.2% and a cross accuracy of 33% as well. But 7 successful dribbles in his short amount of time in the team puts him in and around the top 30th percentile in his position. And a 70% dribble success ratio is actually pretty good. Managed to win 11 tackles, wins about 50% of his tackles, 50% of his duels, and about 53% of his aerial duels. 1 possession in the final third 3 times. Committed 18 fouls, which isn't terrible, I guess. 50 recoveries, dribble past 6 times. But obviously, these stats are from only 1,000 minutes played, and we are going to be comparing him versus Ligue 1 as a general and his per 90 stats. Because, look, he's 18 years of age, so can you hold some of this stuff against him in his first breakthrough season? Clearly, the kid has something about him, because it's not just Villa that are interested in this kid. But how about the other player that we're going to be talking about today? It is Kilicsoy from Besiktas, 178 centimetres tall, so about 5'10", preferred foot, both. I like that. Currently wears the number 9, but primarily plays, as you can see, out on the left wing. He's 19 years of age, he'll be 20 by the time next season starts. And as you can see, overall for Besiktas, he's already played 85 senior games, scoring 16 goals. Last season was his breakthrough season, right? 11 goals and 4 assists in 23 games, a goal and 7 in the Conference League as well. This season, I believe, is where he is kind of slightly shifted to being more out on the left wing, and it shows. He did make 9 appearances in the Europa League, getting a goal and an assist, but only 3 and 2 in 32 in the Super League for Behiktas, and that is there. But then again, you know, it is 32 games, but my man's only starting 11. You know, 11 of those games is a start, so still very much on the bench, which makes you think, would he come in and hit the ground running for Villa? I don't know. I mean, you can see here, you know, barely 7 minutes, 4 minutes, 9 minutes. He's not particularly getting a lot of game time. However, did get an expected goals overall of 4.31, an XG on target of 5.02, scored a penalty, got 3 goals overall, so 2 from open play, 13 shots on target. The pass accuracy, the cross accuracy, and the long ball accuracy, very, very worrying. Now, this guy, he has been sort of scouted around and touted amongst Europe's elite for a very, very long time. So I'm trying to look past these stats, and when we watch the highlights, maybe we'll see something different. But 36 successful dribbles and a 57.1 success rate on said dribbles puts him in the top 20th for both of those categories. 83 touches in the opposition box, won 2 penalties this season, won 90% of his tackles. That's like absolutely ridiculous to me. I don't know how he's managed that. Won 20 aerial duels, 95 duels overall. You know, dribbled past 9 times, 1 possession in the final third, 11 times as many starts. Did get a red card as well. You know, he is Turkish. They have that kind of they have that mean streak in them over there. I don't know what they're feeding them. They're big boys. But if we look, actually, this is well, because we're going to be comparing him in the Europa League. So if we look at his per 90s this season, this is in the Super League. You'll see, you know, his XG per 90 pretty good, nearly top 10th percentile there. His amount of dribbles per 90, top 6th pretty much percentile there. You know, the tackles, the duels 1 per 90, aerial duels 1 per 90. So he clearly is something there. But let's have a look at JD and Senit in their per 90 stats this season against their peers in their respective competitions and see why Villa have identified these 2 teenagers as the ones that we want. And here we have JD Canvot's scouting report in the 2024-25 League 1 versus centre-backs. Now, these are just like some highlighted stats, for want of a better word. And the one that stands out, you know, top 12th percentile for expected assisted goals for a centre-back. Successful take-ons also in the top 11th percent. But obviously, we want to look a little bit further, and that is when we go to his full statistics. So again, that stat does stand out in terms of non-penalty XG and expected goals. 69th percentile, pretty good. Nearly a progressive carry every game, or 3/4 of one. 62nd percentile for that. Shooting, again, I'm not really too interested. But let's have a look at his passing stats here. And you'll see, again, that expected assist is coming out there. Key passes, he's in the top 25th percentile for that stat. And passes and crosses into the penalty area, both the top 13th percentile. So very good at getting the ball forward and pushing it up the pitch. You'll see there his pass completion overall, 68.2%, but actually his short pass completion was 92, his medium pass completion was 91%, and this is actually the long passes that are letting him down a little bit there. If we look at his pass types here, you'll see his through balls for a centre-back, top 7th percentile. Who does that remind you of? Maybe one Mr. Paella himself, Pau Torres. Crosses and switches also very high as well. If we go down here to his goal and shot creation, so shot creating actions there, offensive actions directly leading to taking a shot, 74th percentile, so pretty high, almost over 1 per game. From a live ball pass, he's in the top 20th percentile for those shot creating actions, and for winning fouls, top 8th. Goal creating actions, he's actually in the top 12th percentile for centre-backs in League 1, and that is mainly, as you can see there, from live ball passes, so not take-ons, shots, you know, defensive actions, winning a foul. They are pretty much all from live passes, which is very, very good. Tackling, 1.87 per 90, puts him in the top 63rd percentile. That's not too bad. Most of them come in either in the attacking third or defensive third, so middle third, not too much. Again, we will have our centre defensive mids to do that for us. In possession as well, take-ons attempted and successful take-ons, both in the high green percentiles there, as you can see, and carries into the penalty area in the green percentile. Crosses as well. I don't know why he seems to be so on it with crosses, but overall, you know, very, very good stats, and that is against, you know, his peers in League 1. We're talking our Marquinhoses, you know, players like that, players and other players from League 1 that are being linked with moves to the Premier League. But what about Kilicsoy? Well, if we scroll down here on the screen, you'll see we're going to go against forwards, and this is in the Europa League. There's not many stats from the Turkish Super League on FBref, but I actually thought we're in the Europa League next season, so it's probably quite good to have a little look and see how he compares. And you'll see instantly, again, a couple of things that stand out. The shot creating actions, 3.46 per 90, puts him in the top 12th percentile for that statistic. And again, what do we need to do? We need to create shots. We need to score goals. I think last season our attack, as much, our defence was bad as well, but don't get me wrong, but our attack as well, we just seemed to stutter a bit. And his successful take-ons per 90 at 1.95 puts him in the top 10th percentile for that stat as well. But again, let's have a little bit more of a detailed look at Kilicsoy against forwards in the Europa League last season. And you'll see for assists, he is relatively high, top 30th percentile. Progressive carries and passes, both again in and around that 30th percentile, and progressive passes received as well. In terms of his shooting statistics, shots on target were in the top 20th percentile. Goals minus XG was alright, so he's outperforming his XG ever so slightly, 0.04 there, but it puts him in the top 30th. The actual goals themselves, those shots on target as well, his percentage and his amount per 90, not really that good. And perhaps this is why he has had that quite considerable and quite noticeable drop-off in goals plus assists in the last season for Besiktas over in the Super League. In terms of his passing, a couple of stats that stand out right. His progressive passing distance is pretty good. That pass completion, though, I'm not too sure on it. I mean, he is majorly let down by that long ball completion, right? 37.5%. But his medium pass is all right, 82%. It's not terrible. He would have to work on that, obviously. Nothing too much that stands out there. Pass types, switches the ball a lot. Particularly not, again, they're a little bit dodgy, but let's have a look at where he shines, and that is his goal and shot creation. So shot creating actions, like we've already gone through, top 12th percentile. His shot creating actions from take-ons this season, so just rinsing his man, 99th percentile in the Europa League, so one of the best in that competition. Same for defensive actions. We saw from his FBref, he wins the ball up the pitch quite high, not FBref, sorry, FootMob. Fouls drawn, top 15th percentile. Goal creating actions from take-ons, so just a 3% drop off there, down to 96%, and fouls drawn as well, 95th percentile there as well. In possession, again, I'm not really too worried about his defensive stats. Actually, the amount of dribbles he has challenged is quite high. But in possession, so on the ball, again, successful take-ons, top 9th percentile. Take-ons attempted, top 12th. Pretty good at taking his man on and actually doing all right at beating him there. 47% puts him in the top 66th percentile for that as well. And he wins a lot of penalty kicks. What's not to like? But again, we can go through stats all day till the cows come home. How do they look when you're watching a blurry YouTube highlight reel of them? That's the test, isn't it, lads? So let's get up JD Camvort first. And as always, big shout out to Ultras FC TV for the video. And here he is, instantly on the ball, getting forward. And you can see what I said about the take-ons. He is an absolute monster with the ball at his feet. And here he is in a defensive manner as well, getting mucked in and winning the challenge. There he is again, coming across. Good anticipation early, getting the balls to the ball. That's a fantastic clearance, by the way, to do that and not score an own goal. I mean, look at this for a ball as well. That is onside. Do you remember when I said he reminds me a bit of a certain Pau Torres? Here he is stepping out from the defence and winning the ball very well, and you could see he was going forward with that as well. Got a bit of pace about him as well. Bit of a turn of pace I've noticed since I've been watching him. Here he is on the ball again. Yeah, see you later, buddy. He's very, very Pau Torres and Ezri Konsa-esque. You can see why Aston Villa are the ones that are apparently in pole position to sign him for nearly £20 million, because he just looks like an Emery defender at 18 years of age. That's a fantastic ball into his attacker there. Here he is in a defensive way. Very, very good not to give a penalty away there and just nicking in the nick of time. Again, little touch back here. Another one. See you later. Very, very calm. Very, very composed on the ball. Here he is on the ball again. Lovely left-footed pass going forward. Here he is on the ball. Right, left, doesn't matter. Little bit of a tiki-taka type player. Again, in the air. That's not in the back. Good the referee didn't give that. That's an absolute Frosby flop there from the defender. Getting involved again there. And you can see, for me, that's a fantastic diving header to get the ball clear. And he wins the foul for the high foot as well. And you can see he kind of plays on the right and left of that defence. Here he is stepping out from the defence again, pushing the ball forward. And I said in this highlights you'd see why He plays as that defensive midfielder sometimes. I mean, look at that for a ball. That's absolutely outrageous. And in the defensive, look, one-on-one, see you later, man. He's very, very good, very, very talented. This is what I mean. Stats sometimes don't tell the whole story. Here he is on the ball again. Gets past his man, holds it up very, very well. Fantastic clearance. There's a reason that Villa will want to sign a kid that has 20 senior appearances, has only just turned 18 years of age, for 20 million. And that's because I think he is just your stereotypical Emery player. And, I mean, let's have a look at this for a ball. But what about Semit Kilicsoy? I'm going to start it off with a fantastic finish the keeper maybe should have done better with. But we've already seen JD Camvot and how he is an Emery player through and through. What about Kilicsoy? Here he is out on the wing and a lovely near post finish. Now, a lot of these highlights are from 2024 because he's had that sort of weird fall off in 2025. And thank you to Maestro Media for the video. But here he is again, nicking in and getting that goal. Now, let's see what he is all about. That is a very, very good assist from him, although his teammate did have to do quite a bit of the work. Now, here he is getting on the ball again out on that left wing. And yeah, you can see why perhaps his take-ons and his take-on success is quite high. Here he is on the ball again. That's a fantastic little flick over the top that maybe could have resulted in a goal. Picking up the ball here, this is when he was playing as a more centre-forward type deal, and that's a fantastic ball. I don't believe he actually got the assist from that. Again, little knock around, and you can see, look, sometimes you can see some natural talent in these lads, and striking the ball like that from that angle, you can tell. And he's rapid as well. Look at him on the ball here, down the wing. This is actually on the right wing, winning the foul there, and again, bulldozing his way through. You can see why people call him the Turkish Aguero. He kind of does have that little, maybe a bit more like Carlos Tevez-y, do you know what I mean? He has that sort of bulldog mentality in him. Here he is on the ball. I don't know how he's managed to get through his defender there, but he bloody has. Number 9 here, you'll see in the red on the ball, out on the wing. This is, again, another clip from the left wing. Skips round his man, puts a cross into the box. Not actually a bad one. It did complete, even though his pass completion was so low. And again here, just dribbling past players with ease. That's kind of what he that's his game. He picks the ball up quite deep. That's a fantastic ball. A little bit too much on it, but actually did manage to get the penalty. Here he is on the ball out wide again. Is he going to be able to get the goal to finish off the highlights? No, he isn't. I want to finish on a goal for him. Do you know what I mean? That's a fantastic tackle. But I'll be honest, looking at his stats, that's a really good ball, but the attacker's having to do a lot of work to get there. Looking at his stats, it's not as impressive to me as JD Camvot. There you have it, Skoy and Canvot, two teenagers that Aston Villa are linked with. And like I said when I was watching the highlights of them, to be honest with you, Skoy doesn't impress me as much as Camvot. Camvot I didn't know much about, obviously, before. I don't think any of us would have known about an 18-year-old that plays for Toulouse before the links came out. But again, it seems a bit like a Morgan Rogers scenario where we just seem to be hyper-focused and going all in. And we are signing youngsters, right? Zap Redmond, video coming soon on him again. Özcan came in, 19-year-old from over in the Turkish league, same league as Kilicsoy plays in. But for me, if I had to pick one of these two, I don't think Kilicsoy is all that. I think he had that breakthrough season, and perhaps that teams like Villa scouted him in that season. We're banking on him being able to get back to that. But this season, looking at the highlights, I just don't think he fits an Emery system. I don't think he's a particularly outrageously talented player. But JD Camvot's a very interesting one, and he wouldn't be on a lot of money if the deal is good and there, and we can get it done. And Emery, and he looks like an Emery defender. That's what really impressed me about his stats and the highlights of him. He looks like an Emery player, so possibly out of the two, I think he would be the one. But what do you think? Leave your comments down below, and as always, I'll see you guys soon.